Fish only have a memory of 7 seconds, and mermaids only have a memory of 7 years. I have been with Rennie for 7 years, and in the 8th year, he completely forgot about me. I fell in love with my cousin. I turned around and found a stranded mermaid on the beach and took it home to raise. When Rennie saw it, he asked me with red eyes why I didn't want him. The stranded little mermaid hid behind me in fear, but whispered in my ear intimately and dangerously. "Sister, can you feed 2 fish?" I asked him to get the sheets from my bed and wrap them up. I went to Rennie's room and found a set of clothes that he hadn't worn for him. Fu Jingyu's figure is better than Rennie's. I deliberately found a set of loose casual clothes. I handed it to him. He shook his head. "Wear it if you want." Fu Jingyu's tears fell again. Several pearls fell on my sheets. "I know I can't compare to that brother in your heart. Even if I enter your room, I can only wear what he left behind." I looked away. The beauty is sitting on your bed with her upper body naked, looking at you with tears in her eyes. Even gods cannot resist such a beauty trap. This is new, he has never worn it. "But you bought it for him. My brother will be angry when he comes back. What if he gets angry and wants to drive me away? Will I not be able to stay with my sister?" I took a deep breath. "He won't come back. What do you want?" Fu Jingyu opened her big watery eyes and pursed her lips. "I want what you bought for me, not what you gave to others." I called my assistant to buy a set of men's clothes and send it to my door. The doorbell rang. I opened the door, and the person standing outside the door was not the silent assistant I imagined. It was another one. This assistant has a particularly prominent feature: gossip and a big mouth. I met her sparkling eyes. I guessed it instantly, and when this door is closed, I dare not imagine what will be spread in the company. "Boss Sue, is that little mermaid in the room?" She used to sit downstairs at this time. "She has good observation skills." Fu Jingyu put on her clothes and said with some disdain, "I don't like this dress. It's gray. She's also quite delicate." In the past, Rennie always wore whatever he was given. I threw him a card. "I don't like buying it myself." Fu Jingyu muttered, "You're lying. You didn't buy any clothes for me. I'll grind your teeth flat if you keep arguing." The Sue Group's company group exploded early in the morning. Congratulations to our boss Sue for taming another beast. The mermaids are really as beautiful as they are said to be. I thought Rennie was the most beautiful one in the mermaids before. I didn't expect this little mermaid to be even more beautiful. Don't mention Rennie. I thought he could become our CEO's wife before. I didn't expect him to be so unreliable. Bah. Pooh, pooh, pooh. Rennie, that bastard, is not even as good as Jiang Yi. Although he has a stronger possessiveness. At least he didn't cheat. Jiang Yi is not good either. I don't dare to think how miserable I will be in the future if he takes over. He used to follow Mr. Su to work. I just took a little longer to report my work. He wanted to find a hole in me. I don't understand. Our company is full of women. What is Jiang Yi worried about? Mr. Su is not gay. If Mr. Su is gay, I'm here in the morning. Will it be his turn? XX above. Look at your comments yourself. Don't mention Jiang Yi. I'm worried when I see it. Oh. I asked Assistant Lin to send clothes over early in the morning. I must have been he last night. But mermaids have a period of forgetfulness. After 7 years, won't they still be the same? It won't be a waste then. Oh, Mr. Su is not getting married again. What are you worried about? It's just a play. Rennie's forgetfulness period has come. Isn't Mr. Su the same as usual? If they break up, they break up. The next one will be more obedient. Isn't the one who comes this time much more obedient? I didn't plan to bring Fu Jingyu to work, but he insisted on coming. If he didn't, he would cry. I feel that if I keep him, my house will be filled with pearls from his tears in less than half a month. This time, Fu Jingyu's range of activities has been expanded. The assistant enthusiastically took him to my lounge. Fu Jingyu smelled the stench of other mermaids in the room, and a hint of danger and tyranny flashed in his eyes. But he still smiled and asked, "Where is my sister? Where is she?" The assistant said cautiously, "Mr. Su is in the office. She doesn't like people to enter at will during her working hours." When I came out of the office, I saw Fu Jingyu curled up on the sofa in the public lounge area with grievance. When he saw me, he looked at me with hesitation, then pursed his lips and lowered his head. I walked up and asked, "Why are you here?" Fu Jingyu looked at my lounge and then looked up at me. "I don't like that lounge. It smells bad. I don't like the layout either." I raised my eyelids slightly, thinking of how he disliked Renyi's clothes in the morning. That lounge used to be where Renyi lived. I was working in the office, and he would read books and play games in it to kill time. He would also work in it occasionally. There was even a kitchen and bedroom in it. Sometimes he would cook in it and wait for me to go over to eat during my lunch break. After eating, we would go back to the room to take a nap. Among my previous boyfriends, only Jiang Yi, who had the strongest possessiveness, decorated the entire house after entering the house. Then he added his own flavor to the lounge. I said directly, "You can change it to your favorite style. Just don't disturb others." Fu Jingyu's eyes lit up slightly, but he still asked, "Brother won't be angry if I change it like this?" I closed my eyes and gritted my teeth and said, "I told you that he won't come back." "Oh." He smiled at me obediently, revealing 2 rows of small fangs. After a few days together, I found that Fu Jingyu was really spoiled. If I didn't have a small amount of assets, I might not be able to support him. The water in the swimming pool must be changed every day, and the clothes are different every day. As long as there is gold, silver, and jewelry, I will take them home with shining eyes. I think he should not be a mermaid, but a dragon. He is also very good at acting like a spoiled child. At first, he was cautious and tested, but when he saw that I was really willing to indulge him, he became more and more courageous. I looked at him and felt that he was a bit like the little mermaid playmate I met at the beach when I was a child. But that was a black tail, and this one was silver. "Sister, I heard that you are going to attend a banquet the day after tomorrow. Do you need to bring a partner when you attend the banquet?" Fu Jingyu lay on my table and looked at me expectantly. I immediately saw his intention. Although I support him, my relationship with him is only known by the company and some of my close friends. The outside world still knows nothing about this relationship. Fu Jingyu asked me indirectly for several days in a row what his identity is. I played dumb and did not respond. He was angry about this, and I was too lazy to pay attention. Anyway, he can comfort himself. "Sister, how about taking me with you?" "Take me with you? Am I not good looking? Do you think I can't show you?" I looked up and said indifferently, "Good looking." Fu Jingyu looked at me with a bit of resentment. "Then why don't you take me with you? Don't you like to bring a vase beside you when you talk about business? Am I not good looking enough to make you look good?" Fu Jingyu was of course indignant. As far as he knew, every boyfriend of Su Tong was made public, no matter how long they dated. Even if they broke up within a week, the relationship was open and transparent. Only he was hidden. He was not happy. He wanted everyone to know. Su Tong was raising him now. That way there would be fewer cats and dogs. So that every time after the social event, Fu Jingyu would not be able to smell someone else's scent on Su Tong. A hint of murderous intent flashed in his eyes. If it was under the sea, he would have killed those people long ago. But this is land. If he killed someone, he would not be able to be with his sister. I had no idea of the cruelty in Fu Jingyu's heart. After handling the matter without distraction, in the face of Fu Jingyu's constant coquettish and cute begging, I reluctantly agreed. On the day of the banquet, Fu Jingyu got up early and fully cooperated with the decoration team to dress up. It took even longer than me, but the result was indeed amazing. "I'm sorry. Did I make you wait for so long? It's all my fault for taking you too seriously." I looked at the watch on my wrist and pulled him into the car. "Stop tea. We're almost late." Fu Jingyu said with a smile, "It's just right that we're late. We'll be the last to appear. Let everyone see how beautiful you are." Most of the people in the circle were at the banquet. Naturally, Suzhen would be there too. Fu Jingyu was right about one thing. Bringing him along would really give us face. As soon as we entered the banquet hall, everyone's eyes fell on us. I naturally greeted the people who came up to chat. I was no longer surprised by these eyes. Since I became the head of the Su family, there have been no fewer eyes on me. It's just that at first it was ridicule and teasing, and then it was awe and flattery. The Su family began to weaken since my father's generation. My grandfather died early, and my grandmother alone supported the huge family property. But she was old and sick, so she passed the property to my father early. But she didn't expect that the huge family fortune almost ended in the hands of my father and uncle during the years when she was hospitalized. She realized that her two sons were useless and began to focus on the younger generation. Sujan's family believed that grandma chose me as the heir because I was my father's only child. The whole family, including my parents, did not agree that I would be the heir of the Su family. Because I was a girl. And Sujan had a younger brother. Even in the early years, my father wanted to bring Sujan's younger brother Suha to his name to raise him as his biological son and become the heir of the Su family. In fact, the heir of the Su family was never determined by whose child. Instead, Grandma personally chose from the three of us younger generations. I don't know her specific selection process. I only know that one day, she let me stay with her and did not allow Sujan and her brother to enter and leave her house. When I took over the Su family industry, it was almost a mess. The outside world wants to laugh at me and the Su family. They don't think a young girl can have the means to revive. And my family is trying their best to pull me down and let the heir they recognize take the stage. Grandma won't help me. She told me calmly before I took over the industry. If I can't help the Su family break through the difficulties, it will prove that she has made a mistake. She will accept any ending of the Su family. And she won't intervene in what will happen to me. Fujinyu fell behind me and said, "Sister, I'm scared. Let me hold your hand, okay?" Although he said he was scared, his expression didn't look timid at all. He just pursed his lips slightly when he looked at me, as if he would cry if I didn't agree. I stretched out my hand. As soon as I held his hand, two hot eyes swept over. One was Jiang Ye's. His body was still facing others. He looked like he was chatting with someone, but his face was facing this side. Holding the wine glass in his hand, the wine glass cracked slightly under the heavy load. The broken traces were like spider webs, gradually covering the entire glass. He crushed the glass into powder. The person opposite him was so scared that he dared not fart and looked at him in panic. The other look was Renyi's. He stared at me and Fujinyu, his eyes were slightly depressed, and I didn't know what he was thinking. But after a while, he was called away by Sujan next to him. "Oh, Miss Su is really lucky. She just broke up with a little lover of 5 years, and then she hooked up with another one." "Who is this time?" A man in a motorcycle suit, who was out of place at the banquet, walked up and said in a gloomy tone. As he said that, he looked Fujinyu up and down. Seeing his hands tightly clasped with mine, his eyes widened. Shinsher said, "When you were with me, you said you didn't like being too clingy. You wouldn't let me cling to you when we were walking on the street. But you can cling to him anytime and anywhere? How is he better than me? Sometimes I also want to change my character of dating everywhere. Because I have acquaintances everywhere. It's also embarrassing." I was about to explain. Fujinyu took the lead and said, "When you are with my sister, she doesn't like you clinging to her, but when my sister is with me, she likes me clinging to her. I should have known not to bring him here." Shinsher was pulled away by his brother. He was broken by Fujinyu's words. He still has a childish temper. Shinsher is a lion. I broke up with him after only 2 weeks. The reason for the breakup was that he was too naive. His brother and I were partners. He was still a little kid at that time. He said he fell in love with me at first sight. He didn't care about his brother's black face at all. He pursued me fiercely. I didn't want to agree at first. Really. He took off all his clothes and climbed onto my bed. I drank too much that day. I heard that he was beaten half to death by his brother and ran away from home, covered in wounds. I couldn't bear it, so I took him in. When I broke up with him, he said very straightforwardly that it was okay to break up. He had been tired of me for a long time. 2 minutes later, he knocked on my door and said he regretted it when he got to the elevator. I called his brother to take him away. I turned around and Fujinyu looked at me with a wronged face. It was obviously him who broke the person's defense, but he turned around and looked like a victim. "Sister, you won't be angry and leave me if I say this, right?" I didn't mean it. Looking at his face, I really couldn't get angry at all. Forget it. When I was talking to someone, Fu Jingyu really just quietly acted like a beautiful vase. In the middle of the conversation, his eyes changed for a moment, and he leaned over to my ear and said, "Sister, I'm going to the bathroom." I nodded. Without noticing, Rennie followed quietly. After a while, there was a commotion in the crowd. "Oh, Su Tong, your ex-boyfriend and your current boyfriend are fighting again. Oh my god, Mr. Su is really, open a class when you have time." There was a gossip before that her boyfriend and her ex-boyfriend, ex-ex-boyfriend, fight every week. I thought it was some unscrupulous media that made it up for traffic, but I didn't expect it to be true. You have to be tough to be her boyfriend. I arrived at the scene with a dark face. They had already finished fighting. I thought the one who fought with Fu Jingyu would be Jiang Yi or Shinshi, or another ex-boyfriend. I didn't expect it to be Rennie. Both of them were injured. Ren Yi's face was broken in several places. "Fu Jingyu. Sister, I'm hurt." He cried and showed me the wound on his index finger that was so small that it took a magnifying glass to see it. The people around him looked at him inexplicably. "This is just a small wound. The pinch marks you showed Su Tong are deeper than this." It seems that the blood on the ground is all from Rennie. No one expected that this mermaid who looked like a weak daughter could fight so well. You should know that Rennie became famous in the fight with Jiang Yi. After all, Jiang Yi was famous for his bellicosity in the werewolf tribe. He was just like a dog in front of me. Why would Rennie fight with Su Tong's boyfriend? Isn't he in the forgetfulness period and is together with Su Zhen? Who knows? Maybe he fell in love again and regretted it. Su Zhen's face was gloomy. When she passed by me, she glared at me fiercely. She helped Rennie up with heartache. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. "Sister, even if Ai is with me because of the forgetfulness period, you can't let the people around him treat him like this. You can't force feelings. Ai has passed the forgetfulness period and it's a brand new beginning. Why can't you let go of the past and make us happy?" She cried with tears in her eyes, which really made people feel soft-hearted. Rennie beside her lowered his head and looked unclear. "Sister, it was Ai and I who let you down in the past. You wanted to beat us and punish us at home. We had no complaints, but you shouldn't beat Ai like this in such an important occasion. Aren't you making others laugh at our Su family?" My parents and uncle's family were also in the crowd. Although they looked at me with disapproval, no one stood up to fight me with Su Zhen like they did at home. Fu Jingyu carefully pulled my sleeves. "Sister, he provoked me first. He said you didn't like me and said a lot of insulting words to me. I. Tears welled up in his eyes again, and he was about to fall. On the pear blossoms in the rain. Su Zhen was instantly turned into scum. He pursed his lips stubbornly and looked at me without blinking. "It's okay, sister." Although he stopped me first and said a lot of things I didn't like to hear. He also pointed fingers at my relationship with you and insulted our relationship. But I really shouldn't do it here. "Sister, punish me. Don't make things difficult for you because of me. You." Rennie raised his head instantly and looked at Fu Jingyu with his eyes blazing. But he couldn't refute anything because it was indeed him who stopped Fu Jingyu first, and because of some inexplicable emotions in his heart, he said some bad things to him. His face turned blue and he couldn't speak. I looked at Su Zhen. "Why don't you let your partner tell you what happened? If you can't explain it clearly, check the surveillance and see whose fault it is. I won't cover up Fu Jingyu, and I won't let go of those who bully him." Rennie looked at me in disbelief, stunned, as if he didn't expect me to say that. I saw a flash of pain in his eyes, but his expression was blank, as if he didn't even know why he felt this way. Su Zhen shook Rennie's arm, trying to get him to say something. "It's okay to lie, as long as she can muddy the water, she can play pitiful and make everyone despise Su Tong. With so many people watching, this matter can't just be let go. Otherwise, where would she put her face? Wouldn't it let Su Tong win again? I only need to take a look at Su Zhen to know what she is thinking. In fact, for so many years, she has never understood one thing. The identity that allowed me to gain a foothold in the circle was never Su's child, but Su Tong. It's just because everything I have now is what I worked hard for. It was me who pushed Su's to its current peak. So the Su family can ask others to give me face outside, all for my sake. Not for Su's sake. But she still thinks that everything I have is based on my identity as the heir of Suze. Moreover, she had pretended to be good at home for many years in exchange for my parents' care and love, which gave her the illusion that she could achieve all her goals by this means outside. She still believed it unwaveringly. In fact, everything the superior did was correct. Even if I asked Fujinyu to beat Reni today, they would still stand by me and watch Suzhen's acting in a teasing manner. If an ordinary woman had a continuous relationship and breakup, she would be criticized the most harshly. But for me, they would only say, "You have a way to tame beasts." They even regarded this as a kind of my ability and charm. If you climb high enough, you will have absolute right to speak.